Hello again, Haunters. I wanted to make a quick video. Actually, it's probably not going to be very quick. But I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind recently. I'm going to talk about Star Wars. But actually, I'm not going to talk about the new movie. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to spoil anything. I will never spoil anything. That you can take to the bank. I promise you that. But I did want to talk about something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about the dreaded prequels. I know, a lot of people don't like them, say what you will. I'm going to offer a bit of a different perspective. I'm going to just offer the opinion that maybe one of the most brilliant things about that movie that was written was actually in fact Anakin Skywalker. When you think about, a lot of people when they think about Anakin or Hayden who plays him, a lot of people will just say, oh, he's whiny, he didn't convey his lines very well, blah blah blah. There's enough evidence or whatever they want to say about how terrible he was as an actor or how terrible it was written. But I actually kind of think that looking back at it now, he was a lot more brilliant than a lot of people give him credit for. And by that I mean George Lucas, because I actually recently went back and watched the originals and the prequels before we went out and saw the new movie. And you know, it kind of struck me as interesting because I think about when I was, you know, young. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old when the prequels came out. They were awesome. Everyone loved them. I don't see where this whole thing about suddenly this out of nowhere rage came from. There might have been some people that were upset on the extremely hardcore basis, but that wasn't everyone. I remember people standing up and applauding. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The movie came out, and I was about 9 or 10 years old, so at the time, I kind of felt like, well, I don't know if it was the actor or Anakin himself, but he was around my same age. And so, I mean, as a kid, what kid doesn't want to go fast, and what kid doesn't want to do pod racing? Like, it's a jet pretty much going 900 miles an hour, and who doesn't think that doesn't sound fun? But that's not what's brilliant. What's brilliant about Anakin is later on in the movies, specifically in the second and third one, they portray him as kind of, most people would say, whiny, or he complains a lot, but he was going through a lot of stuff that they didn't cover in the movies. They didn't cover the fact that he was suffering from sleep deprivation, and you know, every single time he would go to sleep, he would have those visions about his wife and his family dying or whatever, and it was stressing him out, and it really took a toll on him. And I mean, he'd been going for months without sleep, which on anyone it would be impossible to do. So yeah, he suffered from sleep deprivation. That isn't just the only thing. The other thing, that the reason why he was written was for, I think, a lot of the kids and even people that maybe were in their early 20s to be able to identify with Anakin. Because, I mean, think about it. What kid at 16, 17, 18, maybe even early 20s, like I said, couldn't identify with what was going on in his life and apply it to their own? I mean, a lot of us had gone through and suffered disappointments, or felt like that people might have let us down, or we've been betrayed or held back. It makes total sense. It makes total sense as to why he rebelled in the first place. Not to mention, you know, he felt like that he was not only betrayed by Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and what they did, but also by the Jedi Council, what they were going to do to Palpatine at the time was completely against everything that the Jedi normally would do. Normally they're one for peace and not for such a brash action. And he asked him, he told him that he needed to stand trial, and they completely flat out refused. And so for Anakin, who has already been struggling, to see that happen, it only sealed what he knew to be was going to be wrong, and that was the way that the Jedi were acting. And so, I mean, yet again, I'm going to bring this back to in our own personal life. I mean, I know exactly what he was going through. When I was in junior high and high school, I felt a lot like Anakin. A lot of people that let me down. I didn't have a lot of friends, and the friends that I did have tried to support me the best way they could, but I needed something more. And a lot of times, I felt kind of left out. I was very different from my friends. I was kind of not I was put into a circle. I wasn't brought in or raised in a circle. I was just kind of injected into a circle of, you know, who they knew and who my friends were and everything like that. And a lot of times what I would do was probably a little odd for them. And it did get me left out a lot. So I understand exactly why he would feel alone or abandoned or maybe scared or frustrated. And, you know, I think a lot of people can, you know, they can attach to that. They can relate to that. So I don't understand how everyone has gone through their life without some sort of degree of difficulty on any of those levels. We've all felt left out before. We've all felt sad or betrayed by someone before, I'm sure, at some point. That's the whole reason why Anakin was written. He was written for the misfit to be able to identify with someone. Going off on a smaller tangent here. Not only that, but after he actually decided to leave and join the Sith, he was promised all these things. He was promised that he was going to be able to, you know, move forward in the Force. He was going to be able to do all these things that he's always wanted to. He wasn't going to be held back. And that's something obviously he struggled with. He showed that a lot. He felt like he was being held back by Obi-Wan, and he would always say that he didn't want him to be better than him or whatever, but at the same point, he kind of had a point. I know how that felt. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an artist of different kinds. I wanted to play instruments. I took piano for a long time. I wanted to draw. I practiced endlessly drawing, even though it never turned out to be anything. In any case, I always wanted to go to that next spot. I always felt like that I could just go straight to the advanced stuff. The basic stuff was too easy for me. I understood what was going on. I understood everything. But every single time I wanted to bring it up to that advanced level, I would always be knocked back down, and that is frustrating. I mean, it's like, even though you know you could do it, you're told not to, or you shouldn't, or you can. That's got to be frustrating. I can totally relate to that again. Again, another spot in which Anakin is very relatable to just the normal person. So not only that, but you got to think about after all that has happened, he fights Obi-Wan. He gets his arm and his legs chopped off, and now he can, you know, heal and Darth Vader and all that other stuff. But one thing they also never really mentioned either is the armor that he was put in was actually specifically designed to hold him back, even though he was promised by Darth Sidious that he was going to let him basically have free reign over his life. But Palpatine / Darth Sidious did not want Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker to be more powerful than him. So what was the best way to do that? Put him in a clunky set of armor that was noisy, that only added to his sleep deprivation, and just added on to all his other problems. The suit was specifically designed to hold him back. And I think about that a lot because at the very end of the original trilogy, when Darth Sidious decides to dispatch Luke Skywalker, there's probably quite a few things that Darth Vader was thinking at the time, a lot of emotions that he went through. One of them definitely had to be a little bit of frustration, because at that point, you know that he probably understood what that suit was doing to him. And yeah, he probably wanted to do it to protect Luke. Yeah, he probably did it because he loved his son and he remembered who he was as a Jedi. All that can be accounted for. Another thing is too is at that point he probably understood well into his age that he was being held back, and the person that was supposed to let him have this free reign, this free outstretch of talent and time and whatever he wanted, it was his. It was just a free reign for him to be able to just go up and take and do and learn anything he wanted. And now he looks back at his life at that moment and realizes, I was never given the chance or the opportunity that he promised. And at that point he probably felt frustration, and at that point he probably did feel very much betrayed by the person that promised him all those things. So, I mean, yeah, say what you will about the prequels, but I guarantee that you know someone, or even you yourself, maybe even had some similar experiences to Anakin that you could really latch onto and identify with, or sympathize with, or understand. It's a whole list. So I really kind of want to challenge you as a Star Wars fan, or whatever, to go back and watch the prequels, maybe with that mindset, and see perhaps if it's still as bad as you think. Because to be honest, I don't see it that way anymore. I see it for someone that I can really relate to. I see it for someone who went through something very similar to me. What person doesn't want to try and preserve his family? What person doesn't want to try and do that? It's very human. So, yet again, I really feel like that George Lucas nailed it right on the head, and too many people were too busy with the Jar Jar Binkses of the world going on about that. I actually do believe that was the original theory, is that Jar Jar was supposed to be evil, and that makes him so much more insidious because he was supposed to be something that the kids loved or gravitate to. And then he turns out to be this evil mastermind. Like, I don't know, it's that whole seducing the mind of a child to turn evil. It's very creepy. I can't look at Jar Jar Binks the same anymore. Anyway, going off on a tangent. That's exactly what he was intending. And I think a lot of people miss that. Not only that, but Obi-Wan could also be pretty relatable too, in that essence as well. How many of us have ever felt like that they had a friend that betrayed them? Same thing as Anakin. I mean, you can really relate to these characters a lot more than a lot of people actually think and, perceive it to be. So again, I want to go back and see if you will watch this with a different mindset, to perhaps see the secret brilliance that's there. And, well, I'm not going to make up your mind for you, so I'll let you do that on your own. I'm going to let you go now. Thank you so much for watching this video. This probably won't be the last time we talk about Star Wars, I'm sure. But as for now, I just want to say, sweet dreams, Haunters.